Hi, in this video we're going to learn how to create a database in Excel, but specifically designed for a bank reconciliation. So I just want to mention before we start that in the description below I've set up timestamps, so if you want to jump to different parts of the video you can just click on the timestamp or the chapters below. So let's get started. Let's go and open the Excel sheet, Excel file, search Excel. Blank workbook. So let's save it as file, save as bank reconciliation. Any folder that you on your system, doesn't matter where you. I'll just put it in delete because I want to delete it after I've finished this video. So it's bank reconciliation. Save. Okay, so the first table we're going to need on the bank reconciliation is called the bank statement. Renames, we're going to call it bank statement. Let's call it bank statements. Then the next table we're going to need is going to be the general ledger codes. Then the next table we're going to need for our database is we're only going to do 4. You could have hundreds in your database. So the next one is going to be the VAT codes. And the last table we're going to need is going to be the names. So you can see why we need these tables, because let's just move this bank statement to the end. So on your bank statement, in each line of the bank statement, you've got to allocate a general ledger code and a VAT code and a name code, because you want a name associated to each line of your bank statement and a VAT code associated to each line and a general ledger code. So these 3 tables here, let's color them blue, are going to be what I call your lookup tables. They're going to be your allocating tables, and this is going to be your transaction table. So this is where you're going to, put these allocations, but you understand as we're going along. It's better to look overall in the video and then understand afterwards. So let's go and generate the table for the general ledger codes. So your first column is always an ID column. It's a numbered column. So it's always, as I say, an ID column. So every one of these tables we're going to generate is going to have an ID column. And you always name the naming convention on a database is always very important. So you always name the first one general ledger code ID, VAT code ID, name ID, bank statement ID. So let's go and do that. General ledger code ID. Just widen the column. Let's go and name this first VAT code. It's going to be called VAT code ID. Name ID. Bank statement ID. Widen it. Alright, then the next column we're going to go to our general ledger code. It's just going to be called, okay, the general ledger you're going to have categories, because you want to know, what category is it. If it's stationary, is it a profit and loss, or is it buying a car, is it a balance sheet? But you don't have to know the general ledger code. You get to know yourself from a template we put in. You just choose from a template. So it's very simple to learn over a short period of time. So we're going to have cat 1 column first, cat 2, cat 3, cat 4, and then the general ledger code, it's general ledger name itself. Alright, so we've got our column names on this one. Just Control S to save it. Now we go to the VAT codes. So we're going to need what the VAT code is, and then the VAT code description. Alright, now click here, hover over there, expand all the columns. Names, all we're going to need is a name. All these tables can be expanded later as you're going on expanding your database. Everything's very flexible. So you don't have to stress too much about doing everything perfect. So we've got our names, now a bank statement. Okay, what's in your bank statement from the bank? You've always got the date first, then you've got the memo, you've got the amount, and you've got your balance, your bank balance. Control save. Alright, so we've got our lookup tables, our transaction table. Then what you must do, you must create a table sequences table, because you need to generate a sequence for each table, but each numbered sequence must be different for each table, and they mustn't be able to overlap. So you mustn't be able to put one here and then that one must be only be able to take a number from 100. This one must only be able to take a number from 300 and things like that. But you understand later why we're doing this. So let's create another table called sequences. Just at the end here. Rename sequences. Let's call it sequences. It's same naming convention, sequence ID. And it's going to be the sequence name. It's going to be a starting value. And then the maximum value. So we're going to call this just number 1 here, enter 1. We're going to call it our our sequence name for the general ledger code. So let's call it, let's color this, let's make it a, let's just make it red because it's a referencing table. This is a lookup table, this is a transaction table, this is just a reference table. So we're going to call it, it's going to be called general ledger code ID. Let's just name it the same as this. Control copy, Control V. So let's say the general ledger codes can go from number 1000. Let's say 1001 up to 2000. Okay, let's make another number sequence for the VAT codes. Copy VAT code ID. Copy it in here. Let's say the VAT code ID, they're not very many, so it can go from 2001 up to, let's say, 2010. Number 3, Control save, always in between. So now we're going to make the names IDs the sequence. We copy it in here. So the names is going to be a huge, it can be tens of thousands. So let's make the names, they go from say 10,001 up to, let's make it 20,000. You understand all these naming and sequencing and items we're doing afterwards, they all make sense. But everything in the database is structured properly and created properly. You have a beautifully running database with millions and millions of lines of many different bank state accounts, many different companies, all in this one database file which we're creating now. So you create this file once and you use it for forever. So it's absolutely brilliant what this Excel can do with a database. Right, so we just 10,001 to 20,000. Control save. So now we need our bank statements ID. So let's say the bank statement sequence can go from, let's name it again. Let's go to bank statements, copy bank statement ID. Let's say the sequence here can go from, let's make it 1,000,001. And it can go up to, let's say 5 million, because the bank statements, you're going to do many companies, many different banks, many years, many different companies. Let's just see, so we need another 5 million. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's perfect. Alright, so now we save it again. So we've got our sequences set up. Alright, so just a summary, lookup, allocating tables, general ledger code, VAT code, name code for each line of a bank statement, your bank statements themselves. So now we want to, on the bank statement, You want to allocate the general ledger code and the VAT code and the name. So let's put it in here. So what you do, you copy from here, the general, you copy that column name into there. Expand it, your VAT code, you copy that column name into this column. Your names, you copy that column name into your bank statements, like that. Click here, hover over here, double click all your columns, control save. So we're starting to get a nice database set up here. So let's go and the next thing you must do is you must create tables from everything, because they've got to be added to the database model, and they've got to have names and connect to each other, which is what create your reports on a database. Because a database is, you can define it as many tables, many different tables. Each table has its own use, and then each column and each table also with its own use. And then each of these tables connect to each other. So you'll see in the data model we create just now how everything pans out together. But remember all the time, when I say this often, this is just a once-off setup. Once it's set up, all you'll do is insert your bank statements here every day in this section here, and do your allocation. Next day, do your allocation. And so you do it every day. So it's very quick once it's set up. It's nice to get to know a database, because you want to extend it, you want to create new databases, you want to learn SQL after learning Excel. It's very easy to learn SQL once you know everything in Excel. So control save. So now what we're going to do, we're going to create tables. So let's just highlight about 10 lines. Right, so we go to line 10 and we make sure all the columns are selected. So then you just click Control L and you say your table has got headers. So you click OK. Right, so now you see as we do that, it gets a name here. So if you click out, the name isn't there. If you've got a name here. So you also name this the same as your sheet name. So you can just rename. Let's just copy the sheet name. So you see the secret of a database is where you try and copy things. You try not to type things manually, because all of us make lots of mistakes when you're typing manually. So now we're copying. So we're doing the same on the VAT codes. Highlight about 10 rows. Control L. Has got headers. Click OK. Go and name it. VAT codes. Rename. Copy. VAT codes. Done. Control save. Same thing for names. Highlight about 10. Control L. Has got headers. Click OK. Rename. Copy. Copy paste. Done. Same for bank statements. Highlight about 10 rows. Control L. Has got headers. Click OK. Rename. Control copy. Control V. Done. So let's just make this, all our tables, we've got the same coloring. So let's make the bank statements coloring green. So we've got table design. Make it green. Just looks nice, for visual purposes and understanding. Same thing for sequences. Let's just highlight the info we've got in here already. Control L. Has got headers. Right click. Rename. Control copy. Control V. Make the design red because it's just a referencing tool. Let's make it, there's no red, so we can let's just choose an orange. So let's go and make this orange as well, so we have nice uniformity, which you've got to get used to on a database. Right, lookup tables, transaction table, referencing table. So now what you do, you create named ranges for each table, because you'll see later why you need a named range. So what you do now, same story again, each table, highlight the first column till the end of the coloring. Formulas, create from selection, top row. Okay, so you've created a named range. You've created a general ledger code ID named range. Same with red codes. Highlight from the top row right through. Create from selection, top row. Okay, names, select from top row, create from selection. Okay, bank statements, same story. Sequences, same story. So now if you go to your name manager, your named ranges manager, you've just created the general ledger code name range, the name ID, the sequence ID, and the red code ID. And these are all your table names. So everything's looking nice. The naming convention's right. It's standard across your whole database. You know, makes accurate, efficient, smooth running, huge reports from Excel. Control S all the time just to make sure your things are saved. The next thing you're going to do is create from the sequences, put data validation in. So the general ledger code ID can only take those numbers. So you go to general ledger code, so it's one. So you make a note on a piece of paper, 1001 to 2000. So let's go to the general ledger. Let's set up the data validation. Highlight the cells. Data validation. List F3 to choose from those lists we made now. So it's called let's just see here. Oh no, we're going to create, sorry about that, I'm causing confusion here. We're gonna want whole numbers between, because you want to create those numbers from the sequence table. So it must be, we said between 1000, 1001, and it must not go higher than 2000. Click OK. So now let's see. Right, so now if we try and click 3000, it won't take it. But if you click 2000, it'll take it. If you click 900, it won't take it, because you've set up your sequence now to only take this sequence. So you said do the same with the red code. So you make a note on your piece of paper, 2001 to 2010. So you go and set up the data validation of your red code, highlight these cells. Data validation must be a whole number, must be between minimum 2001 and it must be a maximum 2010. Click OK. Done. Test it, try 3000, it shouldn't take it. So we've got our validation working perfectly. Right, now we've done the red code. Now we want the names. What's our name? What must our sequence be between our names? It's got to be between 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 noughts and a 1, and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Okay, we can copy it as well. Like I said just now, I must try not copy. So now I'm just sticking to my own rules here. So let's copy that. So let's go to names, highlight the cells, data validation, whole number, maximum, and it won't copy it in there, so you got to write it in there. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's got to be 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And numbers are the same width apart, so you know the numbering is correct. So you created the data validation, so you can't put the wrong numbers in on these tables. Bank statements, what did you say? It's got to go between, let's make a note, 1, it's 5 noughts, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. It's got to be between 5 with 6 noughts. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bank statements, highlight this area here. Data validation, whole number, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 zeros. Okay, so it's the same width, so we know we're not making a mistake. So it won't take a 1, that's what you want. You mustn't be able to take any of these tables as numbers in here. So that everyone's got their own numbering sequence generated from the sequence table here. So everything's expandable. As you make more tables, you follow the same system. And as you enter data, all this formatting drags, because you've set up as tables, it drags down automatically. So now the general ledger code. So now we've got our table set up. Let's just check here. I'm jumping around a bit. Control save just so we see. Okay, so let's see what the next step is now. So let's put our general ledger codes in from a template I've got. So let me go to my template. Double click template here. Okay, you don't have to know what I'm doing now. This template you could just generate your own, but I've just got one pre-set up, so I'll just get it from here. So I'm using PostgreSQL to do my database, you know, bank recons and things like that. So let's just see here. We want that general ledger codes. F8. Let me put a desktop. Delete. Save. Okay, let's go and copy the template into our database. So let's go to desktop. It wasn't delete. So here's my data. Right, so let's go and copy. Let's make sure our number sequence is correct. Our number sequence we said has to be on the VAT code 1001. So the number sequence is correct. Let's just widen all these things so you can see nicely the whole template. So you just copy all these in. Control copy. Go to your database. Where's our database? Bank reconciliation. General ledger codes. Values. So you can see how the table, because it's set up as a table, it carries the formatting forward and it's dynamic. You know, it updates everywhere else where these, you know, it's got data validation, things like that. So you click Control Save. Let me just go and delete that file. So let's go and close it first. Close that file. Let's go and delete it. Shift delete just to make it go off always. Let's see, open an Excel account. Didn't close it. Let's just check here where we are. Close it there. Go and delete it again quickly. Shift delete. Now, back to our database. So we've got our lookup tables, transaction table, referencing table. VAT codes. Let's go and copy our template from our personal, you know, system or database that I'm using. Just as a matter of interest, I use PostgreSQL. So, but I mean, if you know, I became an expert in database on Excel before I could learn this. So, and it was such a small learning curve to go from Excel to this. So you're on the right track learning Excel first, and even if you spend a few years really getting to know it. F8. Okay, let's just create our own VAT code list. So let's say what's our number sequence? That has to be between 2001. So let's say 2001 will be, let's say S for standard. So let's just say standard. Right, let's say 2002 will be outside the scope of it. Outside. $2, sorry. Let's just delete these other rows. Highlight, right click, delete. So we've got our VAT code option set up. So we only want to be able to choose. It's either, let's make this E for exempt. Let's just keep it simple. There are about 10 different VAT codes in real life, or 11, but just for this simplicity's sake on this database demonstration, we click Control, so we can say exempt. Whoop. Right. Save. Okay, so now we're going to the names. What's the naming? It has to start from number 1. Let's copy this in there. Control V. Let's just say create a name unallocated. You'll see later while I'm doing this. Let's create another name, Nedbank. Let's say EPSA, say FNB, say Standard. Let's say, what other names can we think of? Let's say, let me just think from the bank statement, the fake bank statement I generated, what names we're going to have. Okay, that's all right. Let's just drag this down so we have automatically create up, sequencing numbers. Let's delete this for now. Delete. So we've got a few names generated just for now. Control save. Now bank statements. Let's go and I've got a bank statement. Let's just see where my, so I've got a, let's say this is your bank statement you've downloaded from the bank. So let's only do a few at a time. So now you want to reconcile this lot here. So let's take 10 and reconcile 10. So control copy. This is your bank statement downloaded from internet banking now. You go to your bank statement. So you're actually doing your bank recon now. Right click space values. Alright, so now your bank statement ID, we'll fix it. Just double click this to open the columns. A lot of these things you're only going to do once. So you're going to see now what I'm saying. So another step I forgot earlier on, you must go to each column on each table and set up the data type. So let's just control save to keep this like this. So you go to general ledger codes. So this one must be a number. So control 1, number, no digits. These ones are going to be text. So you just select the whole lot, control 1, text. Okay, then you go to your VAT codes. These ones are going to be number, control 1, number, whole number. You see how everything in your database is starting to take shape. Everything that's similar has similar attributes and things like it, if you know what I'm saying. So this will be text. So this will be number, control 1, number, no digits, no separators. This will be text, control 1, text. So we're getting our database nice and uniformly set up. Every area of a database has its own specialized use that are separated from everything else. So the bank statements, this one's going to be, the first one's going to be ID, control 1 is going to be number. This one's going to be date, control 1, date. Let's make it look like this bottom date here. This is going to be text, control 1, text. This one's going to be rand, control 1, currency, make it currency. So now you must insert your sequence. So your sequence for bank statement starts from 10001. So let's copy that in. Unfortunately in Excel, you have to insert these numbers here. When you're using, for example, PostgreSQL, it automatically generates these numbers. But I mean, that's a minor problem. Nobody can tell me anything about Excel. It's the most brilliant system out, especially, if you never want to use another system, you want your whole business on one place, Excel can do it. You open this file once a day, you extend the database, eventually you rename it database because you're going to have everything on your whole accounting package, your whole stock, your whole whatever, how many different businesses, all in this one file. We drag this down, the sequencing down. So now we start our allocation. So now we need to allocate each of these to each line here. But also you don't want to be able to put wrong numbers, so you need data validation in here. So that's where we created those named ranges earlier. You're going to see now how nicely it works. So this one here, we only want the general ledger codes to be able to be put in here. So we highlight these rows, data validation, list. You want to choose from a list. F3 to see our named ranges we created early. It's a general ledger code IDs. Click OK. Nice. Red code, same thing. Data validation. We want to choose from a list. F3 to see all our named lists. Which one we're busy with now? The red code. So you choose red code ID. So it should have only 2 available in each one. That's right. Name. Only choose from names. Data validation. List. We're looking for the names. F3 to see the named ranges. Name. Click OK. Click OK. Right. So are we ready for allocation now? So these, although it doesn't show in these rows now, because this is a setup as a table, as you adding more bank statement items, yeah, let's just add a few more to show you what I'm meaning. So now you can see here this data validation is only going to this row. So if I go here, it's not in there. So let's copy a few more bank statement entries just to prove it. Let's take up to 20. Control copy. Below the last line, paste values. There it's carried forward. Carried it forward. Carried it forward. Make our sequence go down. Whoops. Mistake. Don't rush on a database ever and do something without thinking. That's another thing. But it's easy to create a backup of this database every day in a split second. So you just be a little bit careful. But if you know what you're doing, you shouldn't have a problem. Control save. So our database is taking nice shape now. So now what you want to do, you want to allocate your general ledger codes. So let's say anything that says open balance. Open balance, there's only one. So the code for this, let's go and look at our general ledger codes. Let's say, I know this is going to be, I know from before because I'm doing this all the time. So I'm going to choose this number here, control copy, go to the bank statement, control V. If it's a wrong number, it won't take it because of the data validation. And I must paste special values, otherwise I take my data validation out, if you know what I'm meaning. So you don't want to just copy, it must be paste the values. Otherwise, as I say, that data validation goes out. The VAT code, there's no VAT on this one, so this one here will be exempt. Control copy, bank statements, paste special values. Very important to keep your data validation. Name ID, this will just be, I'll just call it anything related to owner, you call owner. So there's no owner name here. So you just go drag it down to create your next sequence. We're going to create a name named owner. Save, copy this number, paste special values. Here it's done. First allocation done. Well done on your bank's brand new database. Everything going smoothly. Clear filter. Now we do the next allocation. Everything that says fee. Fee. Alright, you see how quickly you allocate everything. So let's say we're looking for the bank charges. So let's go and look for the general ledger code. It says bank fees. Bank charges. So we know it's 1025. Control copy. Paste special values. Copy it down. VAT code, you can claim VAT. We're VAT registered company. So we're going to take standard VAT, control copy, paste special values, control copy, down, name. So this is, we're going to choose Nedbank. Let's say this is Nedbank account. So we take a control copy, bank statements, paste special values, names. How quickly haven't we done our bank statement allocation? Now you can imagine you could do 6 months bank statement so quickly. You know what we're doing now. So we choose all the ones that say interest. Okay. So we're looking for the interest general ledger code. Let's go and look for something that says interest. Alright, choose that number, control copy, bank statement, paste special values, control copy down. VAT code, no VAT on interest. Control copy. Paste special. Copy. Name, it's going to be Nedbank again. Need bank, control copy, paste special values, control copy down. We're nearly done. We're nearly done with our first bank reconciliation, but you're going to see, you know, how clever this Excel is with things it does later with generating automatic contra entries and things, but I'll show you now. So let's just say, not sure what this, let's just see everything that says Eric. I don't know what this is. Let's say this is owners, just owners drawings. So let's go and look at something that VAT codes, general ledger codes. So you eventually get to know your general ledger codes and which ones to use, you know, like at the back of your hand. So it becomes so easy. So this is going to be something to do with owner's drawings. So we just choose the category owner's drawings. And it's cash transfers. So it's going to be 1019, control copy. 1019, control copy. VAT codes, no VAT on this. Control copy. Control copy. Name ID is going to be owner again. Control copy. Bank statements. Control save. Expand our lines again. Clear filter. We've only got 3 more to do. Let's go payment. Anything that says payment. Okay. But this will be the same allocation as, let's say what was this other one we used with it? The transfer. So let's take it, it'll be the same as this one. So anything that says payment or VOD. Text values contains payment or contains VOD. So we're going to copy these allocations. So you just copy it down, control copy. Control copy. Control copy. Alright. Clear filter. Last one. Avast. General ledger. So it's going to be something to do with let's see what we've got here. I don't know if we've got one set up for internet. See what, let's call it. Alright, so we need another one here. Let's create one for internet. Let's call it telephone and internet fees. Let's see here. Or security. There's no security. Let's just name one security for you know, for demo purposes. Security. It's an expense. A retained earning. It's an equity. Control copy. Remember, we're focusing on databases, so don't worry too much about what I'm doing now. This will come, you know, when you're confident with the database, this becomes so easy to learn because it's also you set up once all the time. So now we control save. So now it's extended this now. We can choose that last one now, you know, which we generated now. VAT code on, we can claim VAT code here on this one here. So we click control copy, bank statement, paste special values. The name's going to be Avast. I don't think we've got Avast here. No Avast. Let's create one quickly. Drag our number list down. Avast. Control save. Go to our bank statements. Choose the last one because you know that's the last one you created, which is Avast. There are bank statements completed. They're allocating for this batch, so it's quite quick. I mean, you could do 1,000 like this in almost the same time. So now what you've got to do, this is also one. Okay, so our next step in our database, which is taking such nice shape, is to generate the opposite accounting entries. Because you've got the one generated from the bank statement, and then the opposite to the VAT control and the bank account needs to happen automatically in the background of Excel. So Excel is so clever, it can do that with a tool called Power Query. So this is going to make a note of the general ledger code for the bank account and the VAT. So the VAT we make a note is 1033, and the bank is 1009. So we write that down on a piece of paper. We also look at the VAT code. We make a note. The 2001 on our piece of paper is the standard one, and the 2002 is the excluding. So then you click on the bank statement anywhere inside the data. Click on the data table tab from table range. Make sure your column, your formats are right in each column. This one's wrong, so we're going to change that to date. Add new step. So you can see this is a round number. We're happy with that. Date, text, decimal, decimal. Our lookup columns are all, allocating columns are all round numbers. So we're happy with that. And for this exercise, we're not going to need the balance. So we delete this row. It doesn't delete your original table. It's just doing coding in the background now. So now what you do, you take your amount column to the end because it's just easier to do this exercise. You'll understand now why. And this amount is actually the amount including that. So we just rename that. Now we're going to create a column for the amount excluding that. So we go add column, conditional column. We're going to call it amount excluding that. So we're going to say if the VAT code ID is equal to 2001, then it must take the column. Let's just see, let's take the column amount including that. Okay, the other part of this code now, I'll show you a trick on Power Query what you do. So you just do this entry, say generate the code so long, so it's easy to go and change the step. So it's going to be wrong now. So we're just going to take else select the column. Let's just choose any column. Choose OK. So our formula is not right now for amount excluding that. So you just go and you click on this gear here and you go and change it now. Let's just see where it was now. Let's just see how you do it again. Okay, let's go into the code itself. Home. Because every one of these steps is being generated automatically in the background with this code here. So it's easier to change the code. So if we're saying if the VAT code is 2001, then we want the opposite entry. So it must be minus the amount including VAT divided by 1.15. Else you want minus the amount including VAT. So let's see if it works now. Showing an error. Oh, okay, so that's wrong. So it's no error has been detected. Click done. Amount including VAT. So it's working correctly because every time there's a 2001, it's taking the amount including VAT. If it's 2002, which isn't VAT, it's got the same amount. So we're happy with it generating the amount excluding VAT. We're happy with that. Let's just change this type because you can see this is now not the same type as this. We want to make it the same type. So we right click. Change type, decimal number. Just change this to the area because it's always better to have amount excluding VAT before amount including VAT. So now we want the VAT amount. So let's go and generate another column. It's going to make custom column. So this is going to be the VAT column. So all we're going to do now is say minus the amount including VAT minus the amount excluding VAT. See if this works out right. Sometimes I get this wrong. So let's just see, so the VAT is going to be, so it's working it out correctly because this plus the VAT, let's put it in the right sequence. You can see this plus this equals this. Our formula is worked out correctly. As I said again, if you want to see the code, it's good to just learn this code. Not very difficult if you keep on doing a step and you come and look at it. Do a step and come and look at it. Alright, so we change the type of this again. We want it to be decimal. Decimal number. So now we've got the amount excluding VAT, the VAT, and the amount including VAT. So now we want to put these into one. We want to put all these amounts into one column. And then the vet must go to our vet control, and the amount including vet must go to our bank control, because this is going to equal the general ledger code. So you select these three columns here, right click, unpivot columns. So now we're going to, this is going to take, we don't need the null values just to make our database a bit more efficient. So we're just going to go and take all the null value rows out. Right, so now we're going to generate, we're going to take this attribute out and put the general ledger codes in each of these rows. So we're going to do another add column, conditional column. So we're going to say general ledger code ID, but we can't use the same as the one we've got on the query at the moment, because it won't allow you to have the same column name. So you just put a 2 at the end, because you're going to change it back later. You understand now what I'm doing. So we're saying now if the attribute is equal to, let's just say vet, then it must be equal to the vet control account, which was 1033. We say if the attribute is equal to amount including vet, then we want to go to the bank control account, which is 1009. Otherwise, it must choose the general ledger ID column. Click OK. Right, we've got our general ledger code generated. So we've got all the amounts in one column, we've got all the general ledger code in one column. So we don't need this general ledger code ID anymore. So we go and remove this column. We don't need this attribute, so we remove this. We're going to rename this to general. That's going to be our new general ledger code ID. Change the type to a whole number. Let's just move it to a better area for easier viewing. So now let's rename this to amount, because that is now our real amount. So we're done with our coding, because we've done this whole code here automatically through Excel Power Query, which is amazing how it does this for us. So now you want to load this. Now we're going to start working with a data model. We're going to load all our tables and connect all our tables to the data model, and then create our first report. You're going to go close and load to. We're going to go only create connection, add this to the data model, click OK. We don't need this view, just take it out. Let's go to our data model, Power Pivot, Manage, go on Diagram View. So we've got our bank statements now to the data model. So now we must go and put the other tables here to connect. So what you do, you close this here. So you go through each of your lookup tables and you add them to the data model, because the bank statements is on from that query we generated. So the general ledger code, you go Power Pivot, add to data model. All right, that's added. Next one, vet codes, Power Pivot, add to data model. It's done. Names. You can see why I say this Excel is amazing. Click in the area, add to data model. Go to, so we've added all the columns, the tables we need for our data model. Let's click on Diagram View. So this is your entity relationship diagram. You often hear people doing databases saying you need an entity relationship diagram. So we've generated one in Excel now. So this is your transaction table. Remember the one we created in Power Query. These are the general ledger codes, the VAT codes, and the names. These are your lookup tables. So now we need one more table. Another standard thing to always do in a database is to create an own dates table. The database just runs more efficiently if you've got a separate date table. So you just generate one here, new. Right, so we generated. Okay, it's throwing an error. I don't know what's throwing an error. Let's just quickly refresh everything. Anyhow, let's go and put it here. Now it's not working. Let me just take this out quickly. Delete from model. Okay, let's just go and check something on the Power Query. I might have made a mistake, so let's just go data, queries and connections, bank statement query. Let me just edit this. I think I made some mistake here. Let's just check here if we've got all our query or columns are the right data type. The date's okay, bank statement ID, the amount is fine. Okay, there's no error here. So let's close this. Let's go to our data model again, Power Pivot, manage. Let's go and see diagram view. Let's just click refresh all, just in case something, I don't know why it doesn't want to generate the date table. Refresh, okay, it is refreshed. So let's go and create a date table again. New. Oh, it's worked this time. Okay, so now we're going to go back. Let's just organize our entity relationship diagram, all our lookup tables around our main table, the transaction table. So now we create our joins. No, Excel's so simple to create joins. You just connect all the same attributes, date to date, general ledger code ID to general ledger code ID, name ID to name ID, and VAT code ID to VAT code ID. So there's your completed entity relationship diagram for bank reconciliation. So this is created once, so you don't have to ever do this again. You're just going to, insert your bank statements, allocate them, and get the reports generated automatically. So if you want to see the join, check the joins. They must always be the same names. So you just move this down a bit. Click on here, same names, click on there, nice and neat, all done. Close this now. Let's go and generate our first report. Let's go to the end here. Let's just move this report before our reference table. So let's call this statement of financial position. Right, let's go and generate a statement of financial position. Click. I always leave one column and one row and then use the first cell. It's just a standard thing I'm doing, and I find it just works for me. There you go, insert, pivot table from data model. Existing same, we want the report to appear here. So now we're going to go and choose all our tables that are on the data model, because they all join us, and now we can create nice reports. So click on banks, click on bank statements. The first one we want is the amount. Click on amount, should be null because we want our general ledger to balance. So it is null. Let's just change the type to currency. Click OK. Let's go and choose our general ledger categories. Let's go and take the grand totals out. Let's go and add some subtotals. Brilliant. So our statement of financial position is balancing. So we've got the assets equal to the equity and liabilities. So you've got the let's just go into what's nice about this reporting as well. You can change if you want the equity below the liabilities. Let's just minimize all these rows. So we want the equity below the liabilities. Let's expand all the rows. The income we want above the expenses. Let's go and add the dates. We want to see the dates across the top. Search the date now in our model. You always choose the date from the calendar. You choose the date. So we want to see our transactions by date. So there you have it. Your whole, let's just make neatness up. Pivot and put nulls wherever there's no empty rows. Okay. So now we're going to just take this heading out here. Let's just make the format What color do we want our reports? Let's say let's make it more gray. Let's change this table tab color to gray as well. So you can create hundreds of these reports, general ledger, profit and loss separately, transactions by name, many things you can do with your database. So if you go and add now your bank statements, so now you've got up to here. Let's go to our bank statements and add more entries and show you the magic of this whole system. So we've got till the 9th of October. So let's go and take another batch. Let's go and take this batch here. Now we doing our next bank recon. Control copy. Make sure in our bank statements, paste special values. So you're going to see when we finish this financial position is going to update automatically. So we go to bank statements. We just drag our sequence down. So now we want to start doing our allocations. So now everything that says fee again, fee. So we should be able to just copy the transaction. So we can see we copy the allocations down. So we've got till January 19, so you can see our statement of financial position is only until October 18 because we added more bank statements. So when we refresh, this report will refresh. So we go back, carry on doing our allocations. So we just copy the allocations because it's all the same. So we've just allocated, in 30 seconds, we've allocated nine rows. Right, clear filter. Now we want to allocate interest. Well, we copy previous allocation, interest. Copy this because it is the same. As you can see, it's the same thing. Right. You see, no accounting system can allocate bank statements or do bank recon as quickly as this. And you can also import these transactions into your accounting system when you're happy that your statement of financial position looks correct, because then you know your imports are going to be correct. So the next one we want to allocate is that says payment. Right, you can see it's the same. So obviously the allocations stay the same. How many more have we got to allocate? We've done super quickly. We've allocated these. So Spar Birchgate. Let's see here. Spar. There's no Spar before. So this is going to be owner's drawings. Let's go to the general ledger. See something that says owner's drawings. Owner. What general ledger codes are there? Let's just say miscellaneous. Let's go and copy 1020. Back to our bank statements, space special values. VAT code, we can't claim VAT, so it's going to be the non-VAT codes. Control copy. Bank statements, space special values. Name ID Spar Birchgate we haven't got on, so let's go and add the name. Drag our sequence down. Spar Birchgate. Save. Go to our bank statements. It's 1008, so it should be on that list to be able to just select. There it is. Control save always. Clear. How many more have we got to allocate? Just a couple. So Hoppy Motors. Let's say this is fuel. So let's go and look for a fuel general ledger code. I don't think there is one. We'll just add it in. Control F. Fuel. There's nothing for fuel. Let's go and add it quickly. So we know it's going to be a retained earnings account. So you copy everything, like we always say, fuel. So this is going to be the same as this. Now next number we're going to add now is expand everything again. So we're going to make our next number automatic. So in our bank statement it's going to be 1035. So we choose general ledger code 1035, which is updated automatic dynamically. The VAT code, there's no VAT on fuel, so it's also going to be 2002. The name, Hoppy Motors. This is going to create Hoppy Motors. There's no Hoppy Motors here. Next name, ID, Hoppy Motors. Go back to our bank save, control save, bank statement. Hoppy Motors was the last one you generated, so we choose that one. 3 more allocations. Engine Steeldale, so that'll also be fuel, so I can copy this one. No VAT. Engine Steeldale, the name's not there, let's go and add the name. Save. 1001010. Let's go and choose 1001010. Okay, now we've got Note Avenue. This also looks like fuel, so let's copy the fuel one here. Fuel allocation, no VAT. Note. Let's go and create a name called Note. Note. Save. Go and select on the bank statement 1000011. Last one, cash advance. Let's see if there's other cash advance here. I don't think they are. Okay, but I know it's going to be the same as internet payments. So let's choose anything that says payment or cash advance. So to copy the allocation, so it's going to be text filters, contains. So we want the one that says payment or cash, or contains cash. Alright, so we copy the allocation. Control save. You don't have to expand. Let's just expand it to make sure we've allocated all our. So we've allocated all our entries. So there you've allocated your next bank statement. So you can see you can allocate hundreds of entries in very quick time. So let's go and see the magic now. So statement of financial position was this. Let's go and refresh and look, see how it updates automatically. So we go data, refresh all. There's your whole statement of financial position automatically updated. Okay, it's got blank. What you must also do on your data model now and then, you've got to go and update the dates table which you created earlier. So you just go and, this is the diagram view, let's just go and refresh all. Right, so there should be no more null values now in our report. Let's go and check here, let's go and refresh. Okay, there's still an error. Let's just see what it's doing. Let's go to the pivot table report again. Let's go and go manage. Let's go to diagram view. Let's go click on calendar. I think you've got to update the days. Update range. Yes, you've got to update the range. Let's just change once and for all up to say 2020 or whatever. Let's just go and do that. Click OK. Close this. Refresh. That's corrected it now. Let's just refresh all again. Data. Refresh all. Perfect. So now it's got all our reports done correctly. If you expand all these reports, you see how big this report is. So there you've done your bank. Let's just collapse these again. You've done your whole bank recon in next to no time. Equity balancing to assets and liabilities. Anything at a click of a button. It's expandable as well. If you want to add, if you're doing many companies, then you would add like company lookup table. If you want to do many more bank accounts, you'd add the bank accounts. So you'd extend your entity relationship diagram will very soon, when you have confidence, will have 20, 30, 40 of these connecting tables. As you incorporating this into your whole accounting system, so you've got petty cash added, and it looks intimidating, but if you understand this a little bit here, it really, you can see how effective Excel is in doing a bank recon plus, as a database manager. So, it looks complicated, but you can see the end result is worth it. So none of this complicated setting up has to be done again. You just go and you add 1,000 bank statements and allocate them as we did now. So I think you can see now, Excel is actually a brilliant database manager. You wouldn't ever have to use anything else, no matter how many companies you've got, how many bank statements, how many entries per month. It'll accommodate millions of entries. So I think that's about it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, click the like button below. Click the subscribe button if you want to be notified of new videos I upload. Enter any comments in the comments section, and feel free to share this video with anybody that you feel may make use of it.